Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, state lawmakers prepare for a special session to settle an education funding lawsuit. Also tonight, what business would like to see from Arizona's education system. And we'll take you to the Shemer Arts Center in Phoenix. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. A Washington-based watchdog group funded by clean energy interests today sued the Arizona Corporation Commission over access to Commissioner Bob Stump's text messages. The suit by the Checks and Balances Project claims that the Commission and the State Attorney General's office have failed to promptly turn over records of Stump's text messages and that Stump broke the law by deleting public record texts and throwing away his state-issued iPhone. Tucson area Congresswoman Martha McSally has introduced a bill that would improve background checks for gun buyers and also provide mental health treatment in an effort to reduce gun violence. The bill has bipartisan support and the blessing of the NRA, but faces opposition from gun control advocates, including a group headed by former Congresswoman and gun violence victim Gabrielle Giffords, which calls the bill a smokescreen and says it, quote, does more harm than good. And a new poll shows that Sheriff Joe Arpaio could be facing a tough re-election bid. The poll released by MBQF, a local public affairs and consulting firm, shows an almost even split among those asked if Arpaio should be re-elected. Survey also asked voters if they'd be willing to pay slightly more in taxes to fund education. 46% said yes, 39% said no. State lawmakers are expected to be called into special session anytime soon now to settle an education funding lawsuit. And here to update things and explain just what exactly lawmakers are considering is Bob Christie of the Associated Press. Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Thanks for joining. I should mention we're taping early in the evening, 5:30 or so. So by the time the 10 o'clock show rolls around, we should be in special session?
We hope so. Lawmakers from the House and the Senate have been told to be back after dinner, 7:30, for a potential special session call from the governor. We expect it at 1 o'clock this afternoon, maybe 3 o'clock this afternoon. These are legislative time, so sometimes these things drag out. It may be late. They have to come into session tonight if they want to be done by Friday.
Sometimes these things are spread out because speed bumps are developed along the way. Any indication of that happening?
Well, there was some, they got together this morning to go over the actual bill language. The news of the settlement broke over the weekend. They came to an agreement on Friday in principle on all of the elements to settle this 5-year-old lawsuit over the legislature's failure to fund fully the inflation requirement. Every year, schools have to get a small inflation boost. Voters told the legislature to do that. When we hit the recession in 2009, they stopped and they got sued, and it's been going on ever since. So they reached an agreement in principle, but now they have to put it into a law. And that's where the stumbling block is. That's why we're here at 7, talking about a 7:30 start instead of a 1 o'clock start this afternoon, because they got the law written in and they all met with the schools and said, well, let's tweak some stuff. At least that's what I'm hearing. I'm not in the room, so I don't know for sure if that's all the issues, but we're hoping they're done with that soon.
Let's talk about specifics here. What is being debated?
Well, the long debate that's been going on for years is, first off, whether the legislature actually had to fund that 2% increase every year. The legislature said no. The schools said yes.
Stop there. Why did the legislature say no? I mean, the voters said yes.
Well, they argue that there is a phrase in the voter-approved 2000 law which raised sales taxes, which said you can raise all of the school funding formula or just a portion of it. They argue that the or is controlling and that they could just raise like the school busing component, which is a tiny portion, which is what they did. They said we complied with the law. We gave them a raise in the school, in the bus, in the transportation component, but they didn't fund the basic education, the 20 or 30 or $50 million a year that they're supposed to. The schools went to court. They lost initially, went to an appeals court. The appeals court said, absolutely, the Constitution says you have to fund all of that. It went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said absolutely. It went down to the trial court, and a year ago we got a ruling that says the legislature has to pay $336 million right now, and then an additional amount on top of that every year. And that's where we've been for the last year.
And eventually the court said, okay, maybe not right now. We can hold off until it plays out in the courts or until the court hoped a settlement was reached. A settlement was reached. Did the governor actually broker this deal? Did the governor's office pretty much be responsible for this deal?
Yeah, this went into mediation in January. The appeals court said, guys, go talk this out. We don't want to have to deal with it. get a deal. It went on for 6 months. In August, they declared an impasse. On Labor Day or shortly thereafter, the governor got involved and said, all right, come to my office. The governor's staff has moderated these discussions between the Republican-controlled legislature, Andy Biggs, David Gowan, the Speaker and the Senate President, and the lawyers representing the school districts. They've been meeting regularly for weeks now.
How is this going on? I wonder sometimes why some lawmakers even show up. I mean, obviously leadership was involved, the governor's office was involved, the school districts were involved. It sounds like the vast majority of lawmakers had no idea what was going on.
No, they didn't. They knew that talks were going on. The Democrats, of course, they're the minority party, they weren't included at all. And so, yeah, it's the same with the budget. I mean, the budget is done behind closed doors, and then it's rolled out and said, here it is. You got 3 days to vote on it.
It sounds like schools have settled for less in a variety of ways. Didn't get everything. I mean, from 330 down to what, like 249. 625 million over 10 years is not the 1 billion that they said they were owed. So they're not getting everything they asked for. Why are they settling?
Well, they're settling because it takes risk off the table. And that's why the legislature is setting. That's why you settle anything. The legislature has the risk of getting an order from the Supreme Court of the state of Arizona that says pay $1.2 billion over 5 years and pay $1.3 billion in back payments that you owe. So there's $3 billion on the table for the legislature. For the schools, they've had no money for this whole time. They haven't had that money. So it behooves them to say, well, 70%, which is what this works out to be, 70% of what we're owed going forward is better than nothing for a few years, especially, there's the crisis going on in schools right now, as we know.
And especially since some in the legislature are prepared for a constitutional crisis. They simply were not going to pay this money.
Well, we hadn't got to the constitutional crisis yet, but that's what the worry was. That was a big worry, that the Supreme Court would issue an order to the legislature saying pay the money, and the legislature is in a position where they don't think they owe it.
Okay, we're going to learn more about this as the days go by, and obviously some details have been released. But on a couple of points, if education spending hits a certain part of the budget, over 49 or more percent, and another aspect is if the economy goes south, if there is some sort of recession again, it sounds as though all the money promised in this deal doesn't necessarily happen. If that's the case, what happens?
Well, that's what the legislature got, first off. The legislature wanted triggers in case the economy tanked again, they wouldn't be on the hook for the inflation funding. So if the economy tanks, if we don't have sales tax growth, we don't have job growth, they don't have to pay the inflation that year. Or the next year, and they can, under certain circumstances, claw back previous ones. The same with, in 2026, there's a provision that says if the education budget exceeds 49% or 50%, there's two triggers there, of the general fund budget, we can cut school funding. What happens then? Well, the schools go without their funding for a year or two until the economy recovers.
No backfill, no idea?
No backfill, but there is a deal there to where we don't see what happened this time, which is when we stop making the inflation funding, the number is put into the formula, so the next year they inflate on that larger number. It's really complicated.
Right, and again, this deal's for 10 years, correct, to settlement?
It's a 10-year deal, $3.5 billion. $2 billion of it comes from the state land trust, which the voters will have to approve.
Right.
The voters will also have to approve the changes in the inflation funding requirement, because the legislature wants some wiggle room there for in bad times. They'll have to okay that. That'll all be put into one big referral to the voters for a special election in May.
And the land trust money was I know the governor wanted 10%, then down to 5%. Right. Looks like this is 6.9 for 10 years.
It just leveled it off. It's almost the same amount of money, just a slightly less amount.
But after 10 years, what happens?
Well, after 10 years, that funding source goes away. It goes back to the 2.5%, well, actually less than that it is now. And then the legislature is going to have to figure out how to fund it. The requirement to fund those inflation dollars remain.
Okay, so last question before we go, and again, we're recording earlier in the evening. By the time the 10 o'clock show hits, we should have a special session, or else who knows? Yeah. 3 days at the most on this? I mean, are the votes there? Is everyone on board? They usually don't call a special session unless everyone's on board.
Right. Well, this is the Republican leadership plan. I'm pretty sure, and I'm speculating right now because I haven't gone and talked to all 17 Republican senators, I think They've got all 17. I know they have at least 2 Dems, so the Senate's out of the way. Then we go to the House. They need 31 votes. They have 36 Republicans. I'm pretty sure they probably are good there. And then the question is, how many Democrats might they get? They might, there are those who say, we'll get 50 or 55 out of 60 in the House. We're going to have to see that. Tonight is procedural. They just have to introduce the bills. Tomorrow they go to committee, the appropriations committees, the rules committees, and then they come up to the floor and debate. And by this time tomorrow, we should have a pretty fiery debate on the floor. We'll
All
see.
right. Well, good stuff, Bob. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
The 5th annual Arizona Education Impact Forum was recently held at the Chandler Center for the Arts. The event focused on the importance of education in building strong communities and satisfying business needs. Joining us now are 2 of the forum participants. Jim Lundy is founding president and CEO of Alliance Bank, and Craig Gilbert is the assistant superintendent of secondary education for Chandler Unified School District. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ted.
The Arizona Education Impact Forum. Give me a better definition. What went on there?
Actually, the Chandler Chamber has been doing this for several years, and Chandler is one of our best public school systems. But it's a gathering of educators, students, parents, and this year there was a real effort to get a lot of business leaders and representatives of various businesses throughout the valley to really exchange ideas about what's working, what we can do better, what kinds of programs we ought to invest in order to prepare the workforce of the future.
Did there seem to be added urgency, added attention this go-around, considering all the debate over Arizona's status in education?
I think so, and I think it was good to see all the businesses that were there, because I think one thing that's very important is making sure that what the business leaders are looking for and what we are doing in the education field are married, and it's a seamless transition so that we're talking the same language.
Are those interests married? Have there been have we been to divorce court in the past, or what's going on there?
Well, I think they are. I think they're married, and I think they've been married. I think what's been missing is some of the collaboration and conversation to know that we're all looking for the same thing.
I think there's a raised awareness. I think everybody gets that competitiveness is sort of the new watchword in business, for states, for schools. We all recognize that we're really in a globally competitive economy now. I'll give you a couple of quick stats that sort of represent this. I mean, as everybody knows, we lost hundreds of thousands of jobs from the peak of during the recession from the end of 2007 till say 2012. Most of those jobs have been recovered now, but there's about 70,000 jobs in Arizona that are gone forever, that were in existence in 2007 and are gone now. Those were typically lower skilled jobs, and basically in the 5 years of the recession, as businesses tighten their belt and learn how to do things more efficiently, those jobs just vanished. And that's true all across the country. But in this country today, if you've got a bachelor's degree, the unemployment rate is about 1.2%. That's true for Arizona as well, while the unemployment rate's over 6%. So, there's a real recognition that in order to have a healthy economy, prepare our workforce, we've got to solve that education gap.
Are schools recognizing that as well? And I notice in this forum something called the neglected majority was mentioned, that there's a lot of focus for kids at the top and there's a lot of attention for kids at the bottom, but those kids in the middle sometimes get lost in the shuffle. Is that what's going on out there?
I think at times that is what's happening, because you do have students at the top that the focus of being the high end and going to the university, and you have those students that may be at risk, and your middle are those students that are working hard, they're moving through the system, they have good grades, they're not causing any problems, and sometimes they could get lost in the shuffle. And I think that's why it's important, from the education perspective, that we're making sure we're giving access and opportunity to every student.
And is that, again, is there more attention to that than maybe there had been in the past, this neglected majority? Are you seeing a little more attention there?
I think there's quite a bit of tension happening in that area. And
we were talking about this backstage. I think one of the things that the business leaders focused on in the forum is, we need problem solvers for the future. Jamie Cassip, I think he's called the education evangelizer for Google.
Yes.
But he made a really a great presentation. But one of the things he said is he cringes when he hears someone ask a kid, what are you going to be when you grow up, or what? Because he said, you're not going to just train to do one job. What you really need to do is learn how to be a problem solver, because the economy's evolving and the skills are going to have to evolve with it. And that's what we need to shift in education. And that gets to that silent majority. How do we teach them to be problem solvers?
It's what problem are they going to solve, and instead of asking what do they want to do, they're asking that because the jobs of the future, we don't even know what those are. And so the key is making sure that we're preparing students to be learners and self-thinkers, and so that when those jobs come up, they have the basis in order to be able to be prepared to move into those.
In that sense, do educators need to evolve a little bit?
I think we need to always be evolving, and I think we need to make sure that we're not just stuck within a box, and we need to make sure that we understand there's different type of learners out there. We have students that learn different ways, and part of the way as educators we need to find that out is engaging those students and finding out where they're at.
I think one of the things that the forum focused on was the need to view education and education spending as an investment rather than an expense. And when we have a very low level of investment in our public schools, I think Craig mentioned this, it's perhaps hard to embrace an innovative idea, try something new. If your funding level is 48th or 49th in the country, there may not be a lot of wiggle room to do something innovative. I applaud, we were listening to your guest earlier, I certainly applaud the settlement that looks like it's going to come to fruition. I really applaud the governor's leadership, and I think it's an innovative way to look at potential funding. Use the state land trust over a 10-year period as a stopgap to really get the kind of investment we need now to get this thing going.
Let me ask you this, because when we have business leaders on to talk a lot about education, first question is, how important is education to attracting business? And secondly, is it more important than tax cuts?
I absolutely believe so. I think that economic development, say, up until about a decade ago, was about low tax rates, lower regulation, speed to making sure that you had cooperation among various levels of government to get necessary permits and those sorts of things. I think most of the states that we compete with are all playing that game. We've all learned those lessons. Now it's really about how can you ensure that you've got the workforce of the future? You ask your last guest, what happens in 10 years when this temporary funding gap closes? I don't know for sure what happens, but I can tell you this. For every 1,000 college-educated students we have, state tax revenue goes up by 2,000 apiece. Mm-hmm. And so just if you make those investments now, you're going to have more general revenues to solve that problem in a decade.
We talk about comparing Arizona to other states in terms of attracting business and such. When you compare Arizona, Chandler if you will, to other states, other areas, in terms of education, what are you seeing?
Well, I will say the education in Chandler is strong, and I would say part of that is the leadership in the school district. It's been sound, it's been strong for years. There's been staying power with our governing board as well as our superintendent. with that being said, we have a strategic plan that helps us determine everything that we do. So when we're making decisions, we're looking at how do we make sure we educate every student. And because of that plan, I think it allows us as a district to improve all of our students and show that we have strong achievement across the board with every student.
Is that a plan that you think could work in other districts, could work statewide? I mean, do we need to see those kinds of reforms elsewhere?
Well, I think it is a plan that can work with others. There are other school districts that have solid plans, similar to what we're doing. But the key to that is having a plan and actually having a structure of where you want to go, and then utilizing that structure to say, is this something that we want to do, and does it fit in that plan, and is it what's best for students?
Very quickly, please.
That's a great example. For example, Colorado, Tennessee, Texas have recently set a goal to have all their students have either a degree or a credential, 55 to 60% by 2025. Right now, Arizona doesn't have a goal, and our credential or certificate rate is under 40%.
All right, we got to stop you right there. Great discussion. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ted.
Tonight's edition of Arizona Art Beat looks at one of Phoenix's hidden treasures, the Shemer Art Center, which is celebrating its 30th anniversary. Producer Shauna Fisher and photographer Miguel Valverde take us on a tour.
The Shemer Art Center has a colorful history. Built in 1919, it was the first home in the Arcadia area and was owned by a worker for the Arcadia Water Company. In 1927, the Sir family, who owned the Pennzoil Company, bought the Spanish Mission-style home as a vacation retreat. Then, in 1984, the home was purchased by Martha Shemer.
She purchased the home, and I think probably at a point in her life when she wanted to leave some kind of legacy as well. She and Terry Goddard worked out a donation of this home to the city, and it was specifically to be an arts education facility.
Today, 4 of the home's original bedrooms serve as gallery space. You can see the history of the home as you walk through it, original light fixtures, and the bell system used to call upon the home's waitstaff. In the lobby sits an old stone fireplace inscribed with the Latin phrase, "Art is long, life is short," which seems a bit serendipitous now. In addition to the monthly exhibitions, one of the biggest offerings is the art classes.
Well, we teach all of the visual arts, and that includes painting and drawing and printmaking. And when we talk about painting, we're talking about a lot of different media too, like oil and pastel and watercolor. We teach sculpture, we teach ceramic, we teach jewelry making.
The home's garage was converted into a studio space. The students spend 6 to 8 weeks in a class. The center is also known for its beautiful sculptures that are placed all over the property. Each one is available for sale, and there are also several patios to enjoy.
To me, I actually love just going out over the noon hour and taking my lunch break, sitting out on the patio and viewing the iconic Camelback Mountain.
Keeping the doors open to this point of pride takes tremendous support from the public. Board Director Sandra Wyman says without places like the Shemer, a community loses a valuable asset.
The arts are what make life worth living. They enhance everyone's heart. They put you in harmony with your own life. And I really think that Arizona needs to be able to come here to the Shemer and to explore our different rooms and our grounds and make themselves at home.
The Shemer Arts Center is located at 50th Street in Camelback and is hosting a family festival this Sunday. For more information on the Shemer, check out their website at shemerartscenter.org. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.